Defensively matched Mitchell in a low posture. Starts a three. Mitchell-Kelsey. There was more to the Fever's matchup with the Sun than just victory. It was a moment of fork in the road. This contest carried a different kind of weight in a season that was filled with setback after defeat. The Fever were in a strong position to make the playoffs, but their margin of error was eliminated after consecutive defeats to the Wings and Mystics, two teams lower in the standings. Furthermore, the first half gave the impression that the plot had already been written. It was over then. The season was over. The attack paused. Connecticut increased the lead steadily. The scoreboard revealed a harsh reality. Indiana appeared to be cooked. At home, the fans sensed it. It was worn by the bench players. Every turnover, every miss. The season seemed to be slipping away in real time, even though there were still 9 games to go after this one. The three-pointer from a step back went short. Mitchell is currently 0 for 4. Run out, Rivers blows up. Basketball, however, has a humorous way of transforming gloom into drama. And the Fever, and Kelsey Mitchell in particular, brought us a record-breaking comeback on this day. And we may consider this to be the most significant half of the Fever's season in a month, and a real turning point for Caitlin Clark. To set the scene, I must play this well-known clip before I discuss what transpired. It's this that makes sports so amazing. The goal of the game is to win. Hi there. The goal of the game is to win. You don't play for the sake of playing. That's what makes sports so amazing. You play to win. Furthermore, it doesn't matter to me if you have no victories. To win, you must play. For many years, this renowned Herm Edwards line has endured. The goal of the game is to win. It's straightforward but profound. No justifications. It is all about winning, regardless of the score, injuries, or appearance. You arrive, you battle. And the reason I bring this up is that the Fever had every reason to quit this game. Once more, I had the impression that someone was carrying a voodoo doll bearing the name of Indiana. Sophie Cunningham suffered yet another serious injury. She collapsed in midair, clearly in pain. She remained on the ground for a few seconds before trainers helped her get up. Her expression conveyed the fact that she was unable to bear her entire weight on her leg. It wasn't a bruise or a bump. This was a severe matter. It couldn't have come at a worse time. Without Sydney Colson, without McDonald, and already without Caitlin Clark. One of their emotional leaders among the floor spacers, Sophie, was now marginalized. The annoyance was evidently boiling over. This was no longer only terrible luck. The pattern seems cruel. It's the type of season where something else is torn away each time momentum increases. The family of Sophie had had enough. They immediately took to social media to criticize the WNBA for inadequate player protection and officiating. We got Lindsay, Sophie's sister, and Paula, her mother, at the WNBA. Perhaps you should hire officials who can call consistent games to safeguard your athletes rather than concentrating on finding players to complain about your bad officiating. Horrible. I'm praying for you. Cunningham, Sophie. Additionally, Paula Hartley, Sophie's mother, is a frustrated player who struggles everywhere she goes. She is acting cruelly and uncontrollably. Additionally, this felt like the final straw for a squad that had already lost Aari McDonald, Sydney Colson, and of course, Caitlin Clark. In what should have been a must-win matchup against the league's poorest team, the Fever fell behind 21 points. Nothing was functioning. There was no vitality to the offense. The enthusiasm on the bench was flat, and the defense appeared shaken. It was practically palpable through the television. Both the team and Fever Nation were prepared to pack it in. After losing one of your leaders and one of your starters, it seemed like the team's spirit suffered for the first half, and they were behind 20 points at the break. And I thought you people heard me when I was live. They simply can't get out of it, so I said, okay, this game's done. The team's morale has been lifted. Observing Sophie fall, it seemed as though this crew could have lost their will to battle. In fact, I was prepared to overlook them as well. I thought, you know what? It's just been a challenging season, and eventually you may have to give up and say, you know what? We'll tackle it next season. It is what it is. Everyone seemed to have silently transitioned into the acceptance stage of the grief process, as if the season had already ended. A write-off. There are 9 games left on the schedule, but there is no hope left. The Fever then came to life. Fireworks weren't the beginning of it. It began softly, like a flicker in the darkness. A three, a floater, and a free throw from Kelsey Mitchell. Defense paired up with Mitchell in a low stance. Starts a three, Mitchell Kelsey. The body language changed abruptly. In the first half, the same shots that had clanged off the rim began to fall. That 21-point deficit had been reduced to 14 by the 5:37-point mark. The deficit had shrunk to only 11 by the end of the third quarter, and the building began to buzz for the first time during the night. The tilt of momentum was palpable. Hartley is backed down by Boston. Boston, Aaliyah. Fantastic post position. The Sun was still in the lead, but Kelsey Mitchell was going to blow it wide open because of the Fever. I just thought, well, I wasted my day going live for this game and watching it. Then the third quarter came to a close. The Connecticut Sun had a huge lead, but the momentum changed and the Fever began to eat away at it. I would say that they had a 15-16 point advantage for most of the game, but they cut it to 8 points. Then Kelsey Mitchell began to get hot. Kelsey Mitchell caught fire with the season at stake. 838. Mitchell makes a three-point shot. She attacks the rim and makes free throws on the next possession. The Suns' double-digit lead was suddenly vanishing. Then Lexi Hull joined the party, spreading like a spark. She let it fly and hit wide open in the corner. She chose the ideal time to birth after weeks of grueling filming problems. The Fever suddenly sprung to life. Howard is forceful and committed. 2 fouls. The audience was yelling. The bench was standing. Now, every property was important. Odyssey Sims became a one-woman disaster, driving the lane fearlessly, reaching the line, and racking up 9 free throws out of pure aggression. Despite not scoring a single point, Brianna Turner, who had hardly been in the rotation, came in and played tenacious defensive minutes, finishing with a +10 on the floor. Kelsey Mitchell pulled Indiana all the way back within the last minute of regulation. 84-84 on the scoreboard. Tie game. The impossibility had become a reality. Overtime. On the sidelines, Stephanie White gave a fist pump. The Fever bench yelled as if they had already won the game. It was a genuine comeback, and it eventually became Indiana's. After 20 seconds, Kelsey Mitchell made a layup while cutting to the rim. A 3 a minute later. Another trip down, next one. Back-to-back deep daggers. Not only was Mitchell attractive, she had a fiery temper. The Sun shook. They abruptly rimmed out the same shots they had buried in the first half. Hesitant passes, tight shoulders. Indiana, meanwhile, smelled blood. Then the time arrived. Bree Turner kicked it to the corner after driving hard to the rim and drawing the defense. Calmly, Lexi Hull got up, let it go, and buried it. Dagger, swing, and Fever up for good. 99-93 is the final score, the biggest return in the history of the franchise. In actuality, this was the biggest comeback in the history of the Indiana Fever. The fact that so many people were in Connecticut supporting the Indiana Fever during this time made it amusing. In fact, Connecticut was home to a huge number of Fever supporters. In fact, they jeered Marina Mavery when she took the court at the start of the game. Imagine being jeered at your own stadium. Yes, the league's poorest team was the opponent. Yes, Indiana had to defeat that team, but what really made the victory memorable was how they did it, conquering yet another significant injury. With a home audience that traveled and yelled louder than the Sun's own supporters, they dug out of a 21-point crater. This victory wasn't the only one. It was a matter of survival. It was faith. It was unique. It was also a very courageous team effort. 38 points, 34 in the second half, Kelsey Mitchell. A true masterpiece. After scoring just 4 points in the first half, she changed the course of the game on her own. That's what it means to not give. Up Lexi Hull, who finished with 8 points, 7 rebounds, and the game-changing three-pointers that ended her slump just in time. She delivered every hustle play that was important. Odyssey Sims, constant pressure, 9 free throws, and courageous drives. She gave off the impression that she was determined to see the season through. No box score glory, but plus-minus isn't lying, Brianna Turner. In a game decided by 6 points, +10. When the Fever most needed it, she kept the defensive steady. With 14 points and 13 rebounds, Aaliyah Boston is the cornerstone of the paint job. The kind of victory that energizes a locker room was this one. The kind of victory that can change the course of a season. And it obviously did, as evidenced by the fact that it wasn't simply in the box score after the game. It was evident in the responses. Real-time tweets from injured teammates expressed their support and delight in the accomplishments of their squad. And there was an abundance of emotion in the locker room. Relief, happiness, and pride. There was more to this than one victory. One victory. Happen, good or bad. But we can all agree losing this one would have been devastating emotionally. Think about it. A third straight loss against the worst team in the league, with the Lins coming up 3 times in the final stretch, plus one of the toughest closing schedules in the WNBA. If they had dropped this game, their season was likely cooked and everyone felt it. To see Sophie Cunningham go down with injury amid all the other injuries that the Fever have suffered, it really felt like it was over. I mean, before the game, Stephanie White said she hopes Caitlin Clark is back at some point in the regular season. Then you see Sophie come down and you see them getting blown out by the Sun and you kind of think, what's the point? Because here's the truth. There's no way the Fever pushed Caitlin Clark back onto the floor if they're out of the playoff race. No team risks their franchise player for meaningless games. And before this one even tipped off, when Stephanie White was asked about Caitlin's status, she didn't exactly give fans a reason to feel optimistic. The vibe wasn't, she's almost back. It was cautious, hesitant, like her return was still a big question mark. Now that I'm watching it instead of reading what she had to say, I'm still on my theory that I don't believe Caitlin Clark come back. For her to say she's hopeful that she's going to come back, that's the game plan. She didn't seem or look very confident in stating that Caitlin was going to come back. This is a very interesting conversation she's having with reporters today. Caitlin Clark still isn't practicing full out with the team. And let's be real, there's no way she gets thrown back into the fire just to save a sinking season. Not with her long-term future at stake. But that doesn't mean the door is closed. If she can resume full practices soon, a playoff return is absolutely on the table. And that's exactly why this win was so important. It keeps the Fever in the mix. It gives Caitlin a chance to come back when the games matter most. And once you get to the postseason, anything can happen. And maybe you guys don't think that today, quote-unquote, 1,000,000% for sure saved the Fever season. I think it did. I think it did. I think it was I think it was huge for the season. I think the Indiana Fever, unless the Sparks come back, in this game, are probably going to make the playoffs. And is there an argument to be made that it's actually better for the Fever to have lost this game and to not make the playoffs? Sure. But you know what? As a sports fan, losing. Tanking. I want to see the Indiana Fever play in the playoffs because I think Caitlin Clark's going to be healthy for the playoffs. I think Caitlin Clark is going to be healthy for the playoffs. I think that spell those last 3 games where I don't think anyone's going to play in that last Lynx game unless it's needed. I think that Mystics and Sky game back-to-back, I think she's going to become, even if she's a little bit iffy no matter what, if they're going to make the playoffs, I think she's coming back for those 2 games. And then with Caitlin Clark there, even a 75% Caitlin Clark, people are saying, oh, Caitlin Clark she's going to get surgery in the offseason. People are like, oh, she needs surgery in the offseason. If she needs surgery in the offseason, go and play. Go and play in the playoffs. Because with Kelsey Mitchell, the way she can score, you have a puncher chance. You always have a puncher chance. This Fever team has already proven they can hang with the best. They've beaten the Lynx, the Liberty, the Mercury, and the Dream. But let's be honest, a healthy or even mostly healthy Caitlin Clark takes them to a completely different level. And if you followed her career, you know one thing for certain. Caitlin doesn't just play in big moments, she owns them. That's probably why you clicked this video. Because Caitlin Clark in big games is can't miss basketball. So here's the truth, Fever Nation. There's hope. And that hope wouldn't exist without this comeback. Yes, it came against one of the league's bottom teams, but when your season is teetering on the edge, it's not about who you beat. It's about finding a way to survive. Because like Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game, and the Indiana Fever down 21 battered and bruised with every reason to quit. Refused. They fought, they believed, and they won. And now everything feels possible again. If you're still here, drop a goat in the comments because that's what you are for sticking with me. Thanks for watching. Ching.